Okay, I learned my lesson from last time. I have pre-made a bunch of donuts, all with item power berries. So in case I get shiny Terrakion fast, I don't have to sit through the process of making the berries. I also made a couple for small distortions. And I also realized one mistake I made last time. I was going through my donuts and I realized I had this. Wait, is that it? No, not that one. Wait, where is it? Not that one. I realized I had this. A Sparkling Power Steel level 3. Maybe I plan to use this for Cobalion. But then I realized it doesn't have the highest amount of calories. But like, even if I used this last time, it wouldn't have mattered, given how quickly I got Cobalion. So, oops, if I was supposed to use this one for Cobalion, then the other two fighting donuts were supposed to be for Terrakion and Virizion. So today I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the Sparkling Power 3 fighting, and then I made myself another donut for Virizion, and it actually didn't take long at all. Like 2 or 3 donuts in, and I got this. A Sparkling Power Grass level 3 and Alpha level 3. So first stream, yeah? We'll see. We'll try. Anyways, so I was lucky enough to find Terrakion. I didn't get any, you know, I had a 1 in 3 chance. Either Terrakion, Virizion, or Keldeo could have spawned in this. I have not caught Keldeo yet on this file. Excuse me, kids. So, the next time, I should probably drop a backup save here. I'll pick that up first. So the next time I hunt, or the next time I do this, when I try to find Virizion, I have a 50-50 shot. It could either be Virizion or Keldeo. And you have to keep in mind too, I don't only get these. I could also get Battle Zones. I could also get just the regular distortions. Yeah, what a waste of my time. Oh, I also want to point out too, that I did get a few shinies. Oh, and some things I need to release. Actually, there's no point in releasing. Anyway, so I got a few shinies. I got a shiny Grumpig, Eevee, Clefairy, Panpour, and then I finally caught another Porygon to do the Porygon trade in-game. Okay, so I need my fighting power. And speaking of Pokemon, I did get a Hundo Throw in Pokemon Go today. Sadly, I wish I could have caught it in a matching red and white regular Pokeball, but I caught it in an Ultra Ball. I got it on the Daily Incense on my way out to have dinner, celebrating my sister's birthday early. Okay, so to find Terrakion, go over here. Keep in mind too. Nope, can't catch you. Not unless Terrakion is shiny. Keep in mind too that when you shiny hunt these things, see, there's Terrakion. When you shiny hunt these things, you want enough time to catch it as well, not just make it spawn. All right, so you go here. You teleport back and forth, and you slightly go up to see if it's shiny. If it's not, rinse and repeat. So yeah, we went out for an early birthday celebration dinner tonight. We went to eat at a buffet. It's the same buffet we went to a couple months ago, like last summer, almost a year ago, when my cousin came over and he took my games, which he still hasn't given back yet. I want my Skyward Sword back. I want to play that game again. The highlight of this buffet is always the Peking duck. However, every now and then they have specials, they give you coupons on the table. That way you're not able to just pile up a mountain-high dish of the special they're serving. Last time we went, it was fresh crab legs. This time, it was lamb chops. So on the table, they put a coupon for you. So that way you can only have so many, right? So the 5 of us went. Us, the family of 4, plus my sister's husband. So the 5 of us, and we each got a coupon for 2 lamb chops. So 10 lamb chops. And let me tell you, me at a buffet, I put Jack Reacher up to challenge. Because while my entire family, and keep in mind, my mother is pretty gluttonous herself. While everyone was done eating, man, I was still scarfing away. I still had room. I purposely didn't eat too much today, so I can save space for dinner at the all-you-can-eat buffet. Man, I just kept on eating and eating. I'll be honest, I could have still ate. To the point that, you know, to the point I felt on the verge of throwing up. Now that's when you know you've got your money's worth. Shake my head. If you weren't dying, you didn't eat enough. Well, I'm already thick and heavy enough as is. So what else? Yeah, there was sadly one coupon for the lamb chops left. Like I said, the 5 of us went and we each got 1 coupon. 1 coupon could give you 2 lamb chops. And of course I wanted to use all 5, but I just couldn't. Not because I didn't want to, not because I couldn't eat anymore, but because it wasn't the fact that I was stuffed to the point I couldn't eat another bite. It was the fact that, you know, lamb chops, they're just so rich that you just can't help but not eat anymore. You know when you eat like a really fatty steak, you eat like Wagyu steak, you can only eat like a handful of bites just because of how rich it is? Yeah, that was the lamb. It was just so rich, I just couldn't eat anymore. Which was a shame too, because, you know, all you can eat buffet and lamb chops. In Chinese there's a word for it, but I'm not sure English has it. MSG? So, yeah, that was tonight. No, because we're sick of eating. No, when you're sick of eating because of all the richness. Yeah, I don't know then. Ooh, I'm gonna sleep off this food coma tonight. I'm gonna have me a fat shit in the morning. So that's all besides the point. Yeah, it's my sister's birthday coming up. This is only one of 2 big dinners we're gonna do. This one is celebrating on our side of the family, and then I think on Friday? Because today's Tuesday. I think on Friday we're gonna eat another big-ass meal with both sides of the family. You know, our side of the family and the husband's side of the family. Damn, you know what's a shame? Between both sets of parents, I'm the only kid who's not married. Fuck! On that side of the family, both sons are married. On this side, I can explain. Married in this economy? By the way, did you see one of the girls from our high school? She's pregnant? Not only that, she's heavily pregnant. She looks like she's due any day now. It's like, fuck. At this age, she's already having her first kid, and me, well, anyway, so we got 2 shows to go over today. I know you've been waiting for this. You've been waiting a long time for me to go over this. Because right now, we are going to go over The Boys season finale. Season 5, episode 8. We are going to go over this finale. And then if I have time, the next episode of From. I gotta say, I don't have that many complaints about the new From season yet. Season 4, it's like, hey, we're actually moving the story forward. Now, you know I had my fair share of complaints the first 3 seasons. That's not to say it's a bad show, it's just... 3 seasons to slowly drip feed the story. Anyway, so I can't even take a sip of water. This, I can't stop the inputs. I had so much Peking duck, lamb chops. Of course, there were other things as well. But yeah, bring me to a buffet, I will get my money's worth, trust that. Also, the main reason we went to this buffet, aside from the Peking duck, which is always the highlight, the standout, you know, oh, you can eat Peking duck. You know how expensive Peking duck is? The reason we go to this buffet is because I think if you have at least 5 people, and so... if it's within a week of someone's birthday, or a month, I forget which one, then that person eats for free. But you have to have at least, I think, 5 people eating, and you have to pay by cash. Meet these requirements, and the birthday person gets to eat for free. So, you know, 5 eaten for the price of 4. And hey, we're perfectly 5. If I ever get married, it'll be 6, but, I wouldn't hold my breath out for that happening. Anyway, so let's begin. The Boys, Season 5, Episode 8. This is the series finale. This was the final episode. There ain't no more episodes after this. Unless Vought Rising, which we did get a trailer for, by the way. Unless Vought Rising does like an Arrow storytelling, where parts of the show are set in the 50s, and the parts of the show are in present day after this episode. I heard that idea be thrown around, but we'll have to see if that actually happens or not. I think that's just wishful thinking. This show is more than likely fully set in the past. I don't know, unless The Boys Mexico covers this, but I imagine we'll follow a brand new cast of characters in that show. Whatever. Anyway, so this episode, the final episode, we begin with Frenchie's funeral, and it is played off for laughs in his final will. I kind of wish they didn't do that. I kind of wish they took it a little more seriously. Whatever. A lot of things in his will about seeing all of their buttholes. So naturally, Kimiko is pretty destroyed by Frenchie's death. She doesn't talk anymore. She did talk, and now she doesn't talk anymore. So, Homelander finds Ryan living alone at, I didn't even look. It's not. At, like, Culverade? I have no idea where this is. Ryan wants nothing to do with Homelander. He tells off and curses his father. And you can see Homelander is pretty hurt by this, you know, tears in his eyes. You have to, as despicable and evil as Homelander is, you have to remember how tragic his life is. No loving parents, he grew up in a lab, painfully experimented on by Vought. You know, he wanted parents, he wanted love growing up. He has a father who rejects him, a son who rejects him. He tries his best to be a father as his own messed up way, but like, damn. As bad as he is, I kind of can't help but feel sorry for Homelander. But anyways. So, we see Annie telling Marie to take all the people they saved from Homelander's test screening and bring them to Canada, where the rest of her team will be. I don't know why in my mind I was picturing male Jordan being in Canada when female Jordan was actually there. I don't know, that was just me forgetting that they're the same person. So yeah, Annie wants her to take all of them to Canada with Jordan and Emma. Emma actually shows up with dyed hair. Instead of blonde, she's a redhead now, or more like a dirty blonde. Yeah, that was a nice little quick guest appearance cameo from Emma. Does she really do anything? No. She doesn't really do anything at all. Besides just drive the truck away. We do see Annie waste screen time by bestowing to Marie the same wisdom that Maeve bestowed to her. Yeah, you gotta love when a finale wastes screen time, especially when the season itself has already wasted a ton of screen time. Alright, one last check, even though it's pointless, because I don't have enough time to catch it. Okay, so there shouldn't be any autosaves that happen, so I don't need to reload the backup save, I think. Ashley gifts father a new indestructible ball gag. Of course, Ashley has doubts about Homelander, and seems like father has a hint of doubt too, but he doesn't care. He's still on Team Homelander. She wants Backhead Ashley, or as I heard people online say, Backshly. That is so clever. Why didn't I think of that? She wants Backshly to read father's mind to see if there's any doubt. Oh, that's a Scrafty this time. Yeah, but Backshly is still not paying any attention to Ashley. Is still ignoring her. Sage taunts Kimiko to make her angry so she can unleash her chest blast, saying that Soldier Boy was only able to blast when he was angry. Oh, by the way, the rumors were true. No Soldier Boy in this episode. His final appearance was in the second last episode. That is true, he's not in this episode. So whenever Soldier Boy wakes up... Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that yet. You know what? Never mind. Scratch that. Yeah, Sage does get blasted and loses her intelligence powers, proving Kimiko has the chest blast. Well, this storyline kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it? The boys know Homelander will announce his godhood on Easter at the White House, so they plan to break in using secret tunnels they have blueprints for when they were protecting Singer. Remember him? Yeah, but Sage opts out and decides not to go on a suicide mission, so she instead goes to the Harry Potter world in Orlando. And that is the last we ever see of her. Well, at least she gets a happy send-off, I guess. Of all characters to get a happily ever after, it's Sister Sage. Okay. You know, I've also seen people pointing out that Sage is absolutely stupid for not predicting Soldier Boy would hand Homelander the V1. The fact that she couldn't factor in human empathy and emotion, even though people pointed out her introduction into the show, her description, her powers does say the ability to comprehend human emotion. Oops. Ain't that right, show writers? Oops. Oops. Allfather has a meeting... Wait, Allfather has Homelander meeting with the world's richest man, whoever he is. No, it's not Elon Musk. They need their rich support to build his churches. Yeah, but Homelander, he doesn't want people who fears him. He wants people who genuinely loves him. Even though it's never enough for Homelander. Deep comes in, annoying them both. And I've already seen memes of this. My favorite one so far is 67 and 69 when 68 walks in. And we just see the Deep walking in and those two are annoyed by his presence. So Homelander flies the rich guy to space in an instant. Wow, he's flying and moving so much faster than he did before. Must be an upgrade from the V1. I hope his new power scaling stays consistent when we know the inevitable fight happens later in the episode. Oh, it doesn't? Oh, okay. Yeah, so Homelander, he... Oops. Oh, shit. Homelander tells Deep why he hasn't killed him yet, and how much he hates the Deep. Oh my god, so many shinies, but not the one I want! The boys arrive at the White House, Butcher bringing in a crowbar. You know, at first I was thinking, what's that gonna do? You know? What's a crowbar gonna do to Homelander now that he has V1? Homelander does a live broadcast addressing the nation, reading the teleprompter Allfather wrote for him. Comic accurate crowbar. I was actually wondering, what's a crowbar gonna do? I suppose him arming himself in any way is good, but what's a crowbar gonna do? They know intruders are in the tunnel, so they prepare to trap. They use a soup dog whistle, as Butcher calls it, to disarm the soups and shooting the regular people. Now, I'm glad they did bring the soup dog whistle gimmick back. That was a thing way earlier in the show, a couple seasons ago. Ashley decides to help the boys, and Baxley finally talks to her again. She helps them, then she runs for her life. The boys find the Deep crying, and he decides killing Annie will make Homelander finally see him. Yep, go left. On your left. So Annie flies off with the Deep as Allfather comes in, wanting Butcher and Kimiko only. But because Butcher has a score to settle with Homelander, Huey and MM will distract Allfather by firing at the fire suppressors, which Huey is a nerd about. Wow, it only took until literally the final episode for them to reference back to Huey being good with tech. From the first episode. So Huey fires at the fire suppressions on the ceiling, leading Allfather away with Butcher's voice as he can't see. Just putting on an impression of Butcher like, "Oi, this is diabolical." Yeah, so they lead him away, and MM uses the ball gag right as he right as he screams, killing him. Literally Black Bolt style. Well, that was terrible. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I would not have been able to lead O Father away. But yeah, he got the Black Bolt style death. Anyways, so this is also going to be the last time Jack Quaid gets sprayed in the face with fake blood. Unless he does a future project where that is also going to have to happen to him. So, Homelander gets to the word father on the teleprompter and becomes wrathful instead of hopeful while addressing the nation. Butcher literally breaks in through the wall instead of just using a door, scaring the cameramen. The camera gets knocked over, but is still broadcasting to the world. Homelander fights both Butcher and Kimiko. More on that later. And he takes the Deep to the beach for some reason, and tries to talk him down, but, well, the Deep is too far gone. And they fight. I, among other people on the internet, did question, why did you take him to the beach? Why did you give him his home turf advantage being the water? And he doesn't know that the Deep is banished from the water. So, not knowing this, why would she take him to his home turf advantage? What? Well, that's just lazy writing. Anyway, so Annie launches Deep far into the water where the sea creatures surround him and a giant octopus kills him. Literally, a giant tentacle just bursts out through his mouth and he is dead. His body gets dragged into the water. You know, instead of maybe the Deep turning on Homelander and joining the boys, instead of Deep being publicly shamed by refusing to go into the water and saving that man, having that being recorded, yeah, none of those storylines went anywhere. And I'm a little surprised that the Deep has to swim normally. We never really see Deep in the water. So instead of just gliding through the water at super speed, he actually has to swim like a normal person. I mean, if you think about it, I guess we've seen him ride on a whale. We saw him ride on Xander, the hammerhead shark. I guess he just can't swim fast, making him an even worse version of an Aquaman ripoff. Anyway, so the Deep is dead. I know for us it's a show, but in this world, every member of the Seven just dies back to back within like a week. It's like, what the hell happened? Anyways, Homelander tries to retreat after knowing Kimiko can indeed blast him, but Butcher and Ryan, who shows up to help, stop him from leaving. Kimiko has trouble blasting, and then she sees Frenchie show up, who helps her use it. He tells her, instead of using rage to fire the blast, he tells her to use love without telling her to use love, because that would have been too corny, too cheesy. Anyway, so after Kimiko hallucinates Frenchie just like the way Homelander hallucinated Madeline, she finally blasts Homelander. She blasts Homelander as well as Butcher and Ryan, who are holding him down, and that is not covered. The show does not cover those two. Imagine Superman randomly declaring himself God, and then the entire Justice League dies because of some Aussie. Don't you think DC lucked out by creating the character and then trademarking Superman? Because that is so easy. Superman. Right? You have characters like Homelander, Omni-Man. Superman is so simple to use, but it's taken. So they can't. There was even an episode earlier in the season where Old Father refers to Homelander as a Superman. It's like Superman, such an easy thing, such an easy name, but it's taken. Anyways, yeah, so Kimiko blasts all three, and it is not covered at all when it comes to Butcher and Ryan. The pros of being early. Yeah, so it's not covered. Obviously, Butcher loses his powers, his dick tentacles in his chest, but wouldn't that bring his cancer back? I guess not. And Ryan is a natural-born soup. He has no compound V in his blood. Did Ryan lose his powers? Unexplained. We literally do not see Ryan use his powers anymore, and the show doesn't even cover it. So does Ryan still have his powers? Don't know. He didn't live long enough to find out. Anyway, so yes, Homelander indeed has lost his powers. He's human now. He can't use his heat vision or fly away, and I have already seen the memes coming out of this moment. I've seen people just play back and forth him trying to fly away as if he's dancing. And then I've seen people caption it as like 5-year-old me figuring out if I really have superpowers or not. They do say he's powerless, a regular kid? When they say that? Maybe I missed it. Anyways, now that Homelander is mortal and powerless, Butcher beats the shit out of him. You know, I also thought of one thing. What happened to Homelander keeps every vial of Compound V in his apartment, and no one has access to it but him? If Butcher knew there was even a hint of the boys potentially figuring out Soldier Boy's chest blast for Kimiko, why didn't he keep a vial of Compound V nearby at all times, in case? Aw, whatever. When Butcher was talking to him and before he sees... you jumped ahead. Huh, maybe I missed it. But yeah, why didn't Homelander just keep a vial of Compound V nearby? Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, Butcher beats the shit out of Homelander. You have to keep in mind, too, this is the first time Homelander in his life has genuinely been hurt. Sure, he may have had blood drawn every now and then in the past, but not to this degree. He was born with powers. Sage mentioned earlier this season that in an embryo state he was already V'd up. So he was born with powers. He was born with strength. This is the first time he has no powers. So feeling pain for the very first time, Homelander grovels and begs for his life, becoming pathetic, being like, I'll even fucking suck your dick. You want me to eat shit? I'll eat your shit live on TV. And I saw a lot of hate for this moment online. People saying Homelander became a pussy bitch after all the aura farming he did throughout the show. It seems like people forget he always has been a pussy coward behind his powers. It's just his powers made him untouchable. Anyway, so Butcher, yeah. Butcher picks up the crowbar and kills Homelander. Stabs him in the head, and even just literally pops his head open. It was bloody, it was gory, it was awesome. Homelander is dead. The world can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Butcher kills Homelander, all while still being broadcasted to the world. Wow. What about that aftermath? Ashley was impeached as the first female president. And that's really all we know what happened to her. She was impeached. The news broadcast shows a picture of her being taken away by the FBI, but we don't know what happened to Ashley afterwards. She was just impeached as the first female president. The news also reports that Stan Edgar has retaken leader position of Vought. And I saw people mentioning this too. What's stopping Vought from creating a new Homelander? Anyways, so now that his vendetta is finished, Butcher wants to live a peaceful life with Ryan and Terror. But Ryan doesn't want anything to do with Butcher either. Well, that's a shame. Butcher goes to see Terror, seeing that that's all he has left. But sadly, Terror has passed away. Throughout this season, they were mentioning that Terror is an old dog. So Terror has also sadly passed away. Now, I don't know what they did behind the scenes, if they actually had the dog, Bentley, I think his name was Bentley there. Unless they trained Bentley to stay still, it would be mad strange if they actually had Bentley's dead body there, playing Dead Terror. That would be kind of bizarre. But yeah, I don't know exactly how they shot that. Well, now that Butcher, he lost Terror as well, Butcher grabs the virus and leaves. Hey, I can't even blame the guy. When my boys died, I wanted to burn the world down too. Huey knows Butcher took the virus and goes alone to Vought Tower to try to stop him, instead of telling everyone, hey, he took the virus and left. Maybe we should all go and stop him together. So over at Vought Tower, Butcher put the virus into the fire sprinklers. What if the moment he opened that vial, it would be airborne? How did he pour it into the fire sprinklers without it leaking into the air? Don't worry about it. Huey brought a gun and is willing to kill Butcher to stop the virus. So they fight, and of course Butcher has the upper hand as the better fighter, but in a moment of seeing Lenny in Huey, he freezes, giving Huey a moment to shoot him. And Butcher dies. We now see our characters at Butcher's grave, next to Becca's. Huey says he bets Butcher is in hell right now with that smile of his, kicking the fuck out of the devil. And you wanna know what's amazing? I saw this going around. That being Carl Urban playing Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. Literally in the Netherrealm. Yo, you just can't write this. It is perfection. You know another thing I realized? The way Carl Urban looks in Mortal Kombat 2, clean shaven, slick back hair, slightly blonder hair. He kind of looks like he's cosplaying Homelander's whole look in the film. He did a 180 from William Butcher to looking as close as he can to Homelander in Mortal Kombat 2. Yo, speaking of Mortal Kombat 2, I also forgot to mention that after I was done with the movie, because I went there alone, after I was done with the movie, I took a picture of myself in front of the poster. I did the whole thing where I was making like a pog face, and then I was pointing at the poster behind me. And then a 10 out of 10 walked by, walking into the Devil's Wear Prada's 2, playing right next to me. Ah ha ha ha! Fuck my life. My life is a joke. You know, a little side note, when it comes to Mortal Kombat 2, I see a lot of people online are also feeling a lot of sympathy for Lewis Tan. Feeling really bad for the guy. Considering he played an original character in the first film, which was an industry plant. Nobody likes his character. And then, second movie, his character gets killed off almost immediately. Damn, people feel so bad for Lewis Tan. And I saw this. I saw it put this way, which is absolutely perfect. People love Lewis Tan, but hate Cole Young. Yo, that is perfect. And then I've been seeing people theorize about who he could play if he returns in the third film. What if he plays Kenshi? Why didn't I think of that? Yo, he would be perfect to play Kenshi. He looks like Kenshi. Of course, they would need to do some explaining, but yo, if they got him to come back and play Kenshi, that'd be perfect. He actually does look like Kenshi. I mean, for God's sake, we know in Mortal Kombat, death is not the end. One of the sorcerers could always revive him as a revenant. They could save his soul, but because his head was literally disintegrated by Shao Kahn's Warhammer, they could just say he's blind now. And now he's Kenshi. Just instead of being called Kenshi, he's Cole. Cole Young, who looks and acts like Kenshi. Yo, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of Lewis Tan playing Kenshi? That is perfect! I've also seen people say maybe he could play Takeda, or he could play a replacement Scorpion. Maybe not that one. But yo, yes, I want that. Bring Lewis Tan back, but have him play Kenshi. Yes! Yes! Give me what I want. Anyway, so yes, Butcher is dead. And this is where the boys disband and go their separate ways. Kamiko speaks for the first time, and the only time in the episode, literally just says goodbye and leaves. Emmett and Ryan leave together. Huey and Annie go to the steakhouse that Butcher mentioned. Well, we don't see them go to it, we see them plan to go to it. We do also see on Butcher's grave, it says at the bottom, underneath William Butcher, loving husband, "Oi, fuck off, you cunts." Why is that such a boss move to have that on your tombstone? We see MM gets remarried to Monique, adopting Ryan. Man, I've also seen edits of this too. Ryan, after like a week of being raised by MM, he's gonna have a fade haircut. Huey gets a call from President Bob Singer. Remember him? Is like, wait a second, what? He's president now? I know he was running for presidency against Victoria Newman, but like, wait, I thought he was arrested for wanting Victoria Newman to be killed. I thought he was arrested for that. What do you mean he's out of prison and he was re-elected? Or rather, he re-ran for the election and actually got voted in. What? What do you mean he's now president? Whatever. Huey gets a call from President Singer, who wants Huey to lead the new Bureau of Soup Affairs. But Huey declines, because he and Annie are now running a tech store together. Annie is also heavily pregnant. They are also on crime watch. Annie flies off to fight crime as Huey tells Robin to keep their mother safe. So they're going to name their child Robin. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl. It could work either way. That's kind of strange, actually. But also nice, if you think about it. It is a little bit strange. Huey names his child with his new partner after the first love of his life. But as strange as it is, it's also very nice, you know? Well, Annie flies off to fight crime. We see Huey smile into the air. And that is the final shot of the episode, of the show. But during the ending credits, we have a montage of staff photos working on set. Hey, that's nice. Always love to see behind the scenes. And that is the Boys series finale. By no means was it a great finale. A lot of people are disappointed by it. I can't say I'm 100% satisfied with it, but, you know, I'm satisfied, right? Sure, it could have been leaked better, but I'm satisfied with what we got. Though, I do see online people complaining about certain things that they completely just forgot about. Things that have been established the entire show, like the rivalry between MM and Soldier Boy. What happened to that storyline? And then people were also complaining about the fact that we were kind of falsely advertised. Remember before the season came out, we got posters of Butcher standing in front of the destroyed Vought Tower. We got a poster of Homelander in space watching what looks like nukes blowing up on the planet's surface. Yeah, that stuff never happened. What about the poster of Butcher standing alone in front of the White House with an army of soups in the sky? Yeah, none of that happened. That stuff all happened in the comics, I think. I know the White House one did. But, yeah, none of that happened in the show, despite advertising that it will. Oh, excuse me. Had to take a sip of water there. Well, in terms of Vought Rising, we did get that first trailer. We see Soldier Boy in a goofier looking outfit, clean shaven. We see Ava Cash reprising her role as Stormfront. But in this show, she's probably gonna be called Liberty. You know, that was her old alias. I've seen people online saying that now that The Boys is over, they have no interest in Vought Rising. I'm still gonna watch it, of course I'm going to. And I'll watch The Boys Mexico as well. But it is a bit sad knowing where The Boys went. You know, it was so promising when it first began. And then Season 4 was pretty shit. Season 5 was disappointing. Gen V proved to be a big waste of time since the whole virus storyline was completely nullified. And then it got cancelled. Marie was even set up to being a Homelander level soup, like on the same power level as Homelander. But thankfully, even the show writers, even they knew that a spin-off character coming in out of nowhere and being the one to take down Homelander, yeah, the fans aren't gonna like that. I mean, at the very least, they could have at least had her present and help fighting Homelander. But no, she just showed up for a glorified cameo and did nothing. So all that setup was for nothing. Give me a sec. You know, it is a shame that Gen V was canceled. Had Gen 3 got a Season 3, it would have been the perfect, you know, the perfect way to see the aftermath. A world now that Homelander is dead. Oh yeah, some other things that the season finale didn't cover. Remember the virus that Butcher put into the sprinklers? What happened to that? Did Huey tell someone that, hey, there is a soup-killing virus in the sprinklers that if gets out, it could kill every soup on the planet. Please be careful. Did Huey tell anyone? Yeah, they didn't cover how Vought dealt with the soup virus. And like, wouldn't that still be connected to a water source? And couldn't it backlog into spreading elsewhere into a water source? I don't know. I mean, I did just take a class about this. There are systems in place for water to not go backwards. But, well, given the fact that a virus cannot survive, quote-unquote survive, without a host for long, wouldn't the virus just naturally die out in the sprinkler system, given enough time? And besides, even if the virus was unleashed, even if every soup on the planet dies off from the virus, couldn't Vought just create more with Compound V? Because think about it. Wasn't there a virus in history that made itself go extinct because it killed off people faster than it could infect others? So think about it this way. Had the virus been unleashed, had every soup on the planet died off, there would be no soups left for the virus to attach itself to. Given enough time, the virus would naturally just fizzle out, and then Vought could just go back to making more soups with more Compound V. The virus has come and gone. Well, more soups will show up. You know, if Ryan was a natural-born soup, why wasn't Homelander? If he came from Soldier Boy's nut, why wasn't Homelander a natural-born soup, but instead he too was shot up with Compound V while still an embryo? You know, Project Odessa, the same thing that happened to Marie? Well, I guess at the time they didn't even know if soups could reproduce. Anyways, that's it. The Boys series finale. Let me know what you thought of it. Were you disappointed? I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed. A lot of people were saying it was bad. Like the fact that Homelander literally earlier in the episode was able to fly that rich guy out into space in mere seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds. Why couldn't he use that same level of speed when getting away from Kimiko. People were also saying that V1 kind of didn't do anything for Homelander. It's not like he was any stronger. All it did was make him immortal and more egotistical. People are saying, hell, if anything, Compound V looks like it only made him weaker. And, you know, something I thought about too. What would happen if someone with Compound V also got V1, had both in their system? Well, apparently nothing, because Homelander, nothing happened to him. Having Compound V and V1 together, you'd think it'd make you extra powerful. No, it did nothing. V1 plus Compound V did nothing. You know, the show still never went into the origin of how the fuck Compound V is even made. How does this blue Gatorade serum give someone superpowers? Yeah, they never covered that. I would love to know how Compound V is developed. What goes into Compound V? Yeah, we'll never know. Anyways, enough of the boys. Let's get into From. I'm actually behind on a couple episodes. We're now going over From, Season 4, Episode 5. This was a big episode. This episode revealed a lot. Finally, we are getting some answers. Could you believe that? Answers? In this show? Given the pacing, I highly doubt Season 4 will be the finale. So I'm guessing Season 5 will likely be the end of the show? Maybe? I don't know. Alright, so remember at the end of the last episode, they had something show up in the middle of the lake, and I said it kind of looks like bodies? I was scratching my head by the end of this episode, by the way. So, okay, this episode opens up with our group who went to get food. The group is debating to pull the bodies in or not. Also, the bird died, so Ethan buries it. I guess this wasn't the Lake of Tears. This kind of had the opposite effect. How the hell did sprinkling this bird with some lake water kill it? Unless its injury was so severe that it died. But yeah, rest in peace to Bird. So the shrooms kick in for Jade. He sees the motel sign lit up and spiders. Boyd needs to be Jade's anchor to tell him what's real and what's not. They need a safe word. A safe word to make sure Jade can understand what is real and what's not. If it's so crazy, he needs an anchor word or a safe word to tell him this isn't real. Alright, calm down. And they decided that safe word will be Capricorn. Okay. So they head off somewhere. Jade and Boyd head off together somewhere. Christy and Marielle help relocate Sophia's bone. Marielle goes and gets the brace from the ambulance. Wait a second, I thought the ambulance... the tires on the ambulance were all popped. How is it back here at the clinic? Ah, never mind. Not only did they not address that, they also still have not addressed that the sheriff's office cannot be used at night! They still haven't addressed that! You know, the sheriff's office has a big gaping hole in the wall that had a car crashed in through. The monsters can get in at night. They have not addressed that yet. Well, while inside the ambulance, Mario gets chained to the wall in the ambulance. And then she hears screams coming from the radio? What? Ugh. Moving on. So, they do decide to pull up the bodies, and the bodies turns out to be dolls. Big dolls. Donna cuts one open to make sure there's no more surprises. And yes, these really are just life-size dolls. But Donna realizes, oh shit, they may have fucked up. See, scarecrows keep birds away from crops. What if these dolls were to keep something in the lake from coming out? Oh shit. Last thing we need is some sort of Loch Ness monster popping out. Anyway, so Jade begins hearing music as he trips out. He sees his 12-year-old self playing the violin the day his grandmother died. He also sees the guy with the knife in his eye with the skull of blood repeating Ang Hui. Remember that guy? The guy that he saw for some random reason around, I forget which season. Was it season 1? Boyd and the guy want Jade to drink the blood from the skull. Boyd being like, remember, it's not real. But his younger self does not. Well, Jade drinks the blood. Now he'll see the memories he won't want to see. What the fuck does that mean? Well, we'll get into it. Kenny goes to apologize to Fatima and asks how it feels to be connected to the monster. Kenny wants to know what that's like. It's terrifying. Kenny walks by Henry, who has a big jar of moonshine. Christy sees why Marielle is... Christy goes and sees why Marielle is taking so long. And she knows that something is wrong with Marielle. So the group is stuffing the dolls with rocks to sink them again. The moment Tabitha touched the dolls, she remembers something. And thinks they look familiar. Of course, Donna notices. So they push the floating dolls back into the lake. Wait, I thought they were stuffed with rocks. What do you mean they're floating? They're floating in the water, and Ellis is pushing them out to the middle of the lake. They're stuffed with rocks. What do you mean they're floating? So, young Jade leads them with music to Colony House. You know, the same place where we see a couple other things happen later in this episode. So Jade sees all of his previous incarnations playing the violin and the same song. Well, actually, it's not all his incarnations. This is just a few. And his younger self says there are many more. So we see Jade's reincarnations, or his previous reincarnations, and it is all the random people we have seen Jade see throughout the show. Christopher, the guy crushed by the boulder, the guy with the blood skull and the knife in his eye, the Civil War guy, all of them were Jade in the past. They were all Jade. It wasn't just Christopher. Well, that's a lot to take in. Well, let's cut back to Henry, who drunkenly wants to have some fun to live. You know, this place is so gloomy and depressing. Nobody knows how to live anymore. Let's go have some fun. He ends up playing the piano and singing. Causes quite a scene. He screams for Victor to show them what he did. To show them the picture. And I'm thinking it could have been bad because he could have exposed the existence of the man in yellow to everyone, causing wide-scale panic. But thankfully that didn't happen. Okay, so Julie and Randall argue about the ruins and Sophia listens in. Yeah, she's enjoying. She enjoys listening to them and Christy and Marielle argue. I thought about something from the previous episode. I'll mention that later. Yeah, Christy witnesses Marielle scream again, as if she was chained in the dungeon again. But obviously Christy doesn't see the chains. Alright, so back to the actual interesting part. Jade notices a pattern with his past lives. None of them were torn apart. They were all murdered. Murdered by the people in town. None of Jade's previous lives were killed by the monsters. They were always murdered by the people in town. Young Jade reveals that it's always the same. Once the town people learn the truth about him, that the children called him, first they blame him, then they hate him, then eventually they kill him. And apparently it's worse for Tabitha, but we don't hear what happens to Tabitha, or what happens to Tabitha's previous lives. That is a pretty big reveal. So after putting Henry to bed, Victor tells Kenny and shows him about the man in yellow. Shows him the picture about the man in yellow. So now Kenny knows. Jade and Boyd get led to the basement of Colony House, where they uncover a door. A door literally just behind a bunch of stacked chairs. Marielle explains to Christy and Sophia that she heard screams. She heard the screams of everyone who has ever died here on the radio. Aw, shit. Can I get back up there? I can. She feels that there is something ancient here. Something ancient and evil here that feeds on their pain. Even after they die, they are still trapped here. Well, that's comforting. Alright, so here is the big head-scratcher moment, as if this show itself wasn't weird enough already. Inside the cabin at night, they hear a sound. Not the first time we've seen that happen. We saw that with both Boyd and Sarah. Tabitha remembers the dolls. She remembers them. When the dolls, they were smaller. The dolls were much smaller. She played with them when she was young. Or at least a previous version of her. A previous version of her played with these small dolls when she was young. But a man threw them into the lake because they gave him nightmares. One day, the man died, and his nightmares came out of the lake. Tabitha warns that they need to run now. The talismans won't protect them. Protect them from what? If not the monsters, then what? Well, the doll busts into the cabin like the Kool-Aid Man and kills one of the guys, ripping off his jaw. Yo, he got the Until Dawn Jessica death. Another doll burns the face of one of the women. Earlier in the episode, Donna made a bonfire, and I guess the wood was still hot by this time, so another one of the doll grabs one of the women's and just presses her face into the hot coals. Tabitha remembers how to hurt them and just stabs one clean through. One is in the distance on fire and just walks away. Yeah, this whole time I'm still scratching my head like, what the fuck? Now they're throwing in sentient killer dolls that come out of the lake. Well, Jade opens the door that they uncovered, and it's an underground labyrinth. Very claustrophobic. Boyd says Capricorn to prove these tunnels are indeed real. Okay, so Jade, instead of following Boyd out, follows young Jade where the children were sacrificed. Boyd is just like, these tunnels are real. We gotta get out of here. This is a horrible idea. And Jade, instead of following Boyd out, follows his younger self to the room that supposedly the children were sacrificed. Well, now Jade is surrounded by the smiling monsters, and instead of being killed, is sealed in a stone chamber where the children were sacrificed. Or, actually, he was sealed in a stone chamber with one of the Anghui kids, and he screams his lungs out as he gets sealed. So Jade screams and is awakened by Boyd in the sheriff's office. It turns out they never left. Jade tripped balls through all of this. He never left. Yeah, that's why Colony House, none of the two storylines ever aligned, you know? No one at Colony House saw Jade and Boyd walk in, go to the basement, because none of it happened. Jade was just tripping out the whole time. But then Jade smiles, because he knows where the children are and what to do to go home. This is big. This is really, really big. So we'll have to see. But something I did think about from the previous episode. So when Sophia was telling Christy and Marielle the story about Abraham, a part of me was thinking, what does this have to do with anything? Well, the story of Abraham goes that God, I think at least, that God wanted Abraham to kill his son, but God didn't actually want Abraham to do it. God only wanted Abraham... What? God only wanted to know how far Abraham would go for him. At the time, I didn't realize this, but after some thinking, this is what Sophia, or the Man in Yellow, is doing to Sarah. The Man in Yellow is making the voices in Sarah's head tell her to do things, even if it's something small, stupid, and inconsequential, like drinking water and then pouring it back into the pitcher. That is just Abraham, or the Man in Yellow, seeing how far... Wait, what? That is just God, or the Man in Yellow, seeing how far Sarah, or Abraham, is willing to go for him. And then I thought about something else, too. I thought about the fact that, well, we saw when Julie time traveled and tried to do her stupid bookmark thing. We saw the Man in Yellow literally feasting, devouring what looked like the liver of some person. So the Man in Yellow is no man. This thing not only can shapeshift, but literally also devours human flesh. And then I started thinking, what if the Man in Yellow is the ultimate boss? You know, what if the Man in Yellow is the cause, the source, the origin of all of this? Alright, let's think about this real quick. If all of the smiling monsters... I almost said Tabitha. Fatima said that the smiling monsters were people once, but they made a deal with something. They made a deal for immortality by sacrificing their children. What if they made a deal with the man in yellow, sacrificing their children, and in exchange for immortality and the children's sacrifice, they are immortal, they never die, but they became monsters and they hunt. They hunt the people who come and be trapped here. We know that these monsters don't hunt the people for food. They hunt for sport. They hunt for the joy of it. They literally tear people apart. They do not eat them, however. What if the smiling monsters hunt people and bring their organs to the man in yellow to eat? And that's the deal they made. The man in yellow, whatever this guy is, made a deal with the people here. Sacrifice your children to me, I will grant you immortality, and with your immortality, you will hunt down any poor soul who gets trapped here. You will kill them, and you will bring their body parts to me to feast. What if that's the story? But we have to figure out what the hell is the man in yellow. Some kind of demonic entity, some sort of alien. And then I thought, this motherfucker is literally just Pennywise. A shape-shifting, human-eating monster who can bend reality. This guy is just Pennywise, just different. Well, obviously. Just with a different tactic to hunt and eat. The man in yellow is just Pennywise. We know Pennywise, the dancing clown, is not its true form. What if the man in yellow is not this thing's true form? We know that this thing can transform into a little girl, Sophia. What if the man in yellow is not this thing's true form either? Yeah, this motherfucker is literally just Pennywise. You know, I also thought of this too. Now that Jade knows the truth. Oh, I also thought about that too. The fact that... Okay, think about it this way. This story is getting so deep. This season, in my opinion, is the best so far, because, ooh, so many things to think about. So, Sophia, or the man in yellow, keeps on saying this is his favorite part. This is where they tear themselves apart. A lot of internal fighting. We also saw a couple episodes ago, Sophia planting the idea that, hey, you mean to say everything bad only started when the Matthews family and Jade showed up in town? AKA the reincarnations of Miranda and Christopher? Everything bad only started happening when they showed up? And what do we learn happens to Jade? When the town people find out the truth about him, they blame him, they hate him, they kill him. Thus, the man in yellow enters as a wolf in sheep's clothing. He enters stirring up drama, planting the idea that, hey, the reincarnations of these two are bad. Every time they show back up, a lot of bad things happen. You should hate them. You should kill them. You should definitely, I don't know, not think about anything like the fact that you kill them prevents the cycle from breaking and all of you getting free. No, 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 no. Don't think about that. If you kill them, yeah, that'll make you less angry. Like, there's so many layers to the story now that you kind of have to piece together yourself. So if this is all true, we figured out the origin of literally everything that's happening here. The man in yellow is the person they made the deal with, sacrificing the children, and the man in yellow, what does he get out of all this? He gets to feed. The monsters kill the people at night, bringing him food. And then the man in yellow enters the town, planting the idea that the reincarnation of these two are bad. Bad things happen only when they show up. You should hate them. You should blame them. You should kill them. If you kill them, they cannot stop the cycle from happening. They cannot break this curse. They cannot set you free, and I get to eat all of you when my monsters kill you all. If this is all true, this is the story of From. I also thought about this too. Now that Jade knows the truth, if he fails again, if this is not the cycle that breaks the curse, if Jade fails again, if the townspeople find out and kill him again, why not put some sort of note for the next reincarnation? Hi, my name is Jade. I was trapped here before, and unfortunately I died. If you come into town and you see a guy crushed by a boulder, a guy with a skull full of blood, a Civil Wars person, if you see people like this, then you are my future reincarnation. And then writes the rest of the truth on the piece of paper. We are reincarnated. We come here over and over. There is a man in yellow, like blah, blah, blah. Like, if Jade now knows this, why not leave a note for the future in case he dies again? Like, yes, do that. If you do that, that'll save your future reincarnation self so many steps, so many questions. But unfortunately, if you think about it, the man in yellow is psychically connected to this place 100%. This guy hears everything, knows everything everyone does. Like, this place is him. There's nothing you can do that the man in yellow won't know about. So if Jade leaves a note for his future selves, the man in yellow will know. But how would the man in yellow get to that note to destroy it? You know, it's not like the man in yellow can just make things teleport. Oh, wait a second, what about Boyd's wedding ring? We saw a couple episodes ago. I kind of doubt that one's the man in yellow. So, if Jade does leave a note to answer the questions for his future selves in case he dies again, and he hides it somewhere, sure, the man in yellow may know where it is, but how exactly can the man in yellow get to it? You know? His monsters can't get into the buildings because of the talismans. So unless the man in yellow enters the town again, posing as someone else, and then goes into the building that Jade hides the note, and destroys it. You get where I'm going with this? So, I think with this season alone, we kind of figured out the story of From. The story of the man in yellow. What the deal made is. What's the deal with this place? The story with Jade and Miranda, wait, not Miranda, with Jade and Tabitha being the reincarnations, yada yada yada. But of course there's still more to figure out. We have to figure out what's the deal with the children. Can saving the children set them free, break the curse? How can they save the children who are already dead? What is the man in yellow? How to defeat the man in yellow? I also thought about this too. Why the fuck is it always yellow? Why is it always a man in yellow? We had Eobard in the yellow reverse flash suit. We had William Afton in the yellow springlock bunny suit. And now it's literally just a man in a yellow suit. Why is it always a man in a yellow suit? But yeah, we also have yet to figure out, in terms of Tabitha, how does she die every time? We know that young Jade mentioned it's worse for Tabitha. Jade gets killed by the townspeople every time, but it's worse for Tabitha. And we've seen, we heard what happened to Tabitha literally one cycle before with Miranda. Miranda got eaten by the man in yellow. So is that quote-unquote worse? Instead of being absolutely jumped by the townspeople, gets devoured by this entity? That actually might be worse. So, like, is the cycle the same every single time? The reincarnation of Miranda, which is now Tabitha, gets eaten by the man in yellow while Jade gets killed by the townspeople. Lot to think about. This episode, well, not just this one, these past 2 episodes answered so much. So very much. But also has a lot of questions, too. Questions like, what the hell is the deal with the dolls in the lake? What is Tabitha's connection to all of this? Jade knows his connection. I would say I'm excited for the next episode because Jade knows what to do. He knows where the children are. He knows how to get everyone home. But, knowing this show, I'm sure they're going to stretch the storyline out. I'm sure the next episode, or maybe the next 2, Jade is going to brainstorm. Okay, this is what we have to do. This is where we need to go. Nobody believes him. They waste an entire episode planning before they actually execute the plan. Season 4 is the most interesting so far. Seasons 1, 2, and 3 were just frustratingly slow, drip-feeding you things that, at the time, made no sense. But now that we have the answers, it's like, looking back, finally. Finally. I can be less frustrated in the past. Even though, you know, a good mystery story is always nice. However, when you stretch it out to several seasons, and each season taking like a year and a half to release, then it gets pretty frustrating. And I didn't even watch it a year and a half between seasons, waiting week to week per episode. I watched the first 3 seasons back to back, mostly. By the way, I've been spending the last couple of days doing this, just grinding until I found Terrakion to shiny hunt. And if I don't find shiny Terrakion tonight, which it is possible, but I still could get it. If I don't find shiny Terrakion right now, then I'll have to continue the hunt next time. But what will I do in the meantime? I will be continuing to grind in Legends Arceus. I found a massive mass outbreak that has a Spirit Tomb with a guarantee alpha spawn after it, a horde of alphas after it. I'm gonna try for the first time doing the permutation method to see if I can get a shiny alpha Spirit Tomb. I'm gonna give that a try. I've never done the permutation method before. It honestly just made no sense to me. Well, I understood. You do things in a different sequence every time, which changed up the spawn. But like, I didn't understand the website, you know? The the website going over how it works. I didn't understand that until I saw a video by Sir Toasty Toast breaking it down. It's like, oh, I get it now. I can do that. That doesn't seem that bad. So I'm gonna try my best to get a shiny Alpha Spiritomb, because I didn't think about how hard it was to find a shiny... I didn't think of how hard it was to find a Spiritomb, let alone a shiny, let alone a shiny Alpha. I'm gonna try. Oh, you want to know something else that's crazy I saw online? So, Fleece King, I think the #1 player in Pokemon Go, the #1 Pokemon Go player in the world, Fleece King, in Japan right now, because Go Fest Japan is happening. You know, we're still like a month and a half away from Go Fest Global. So Fleece King got a Shadow Shiny Hundo background Groudon. He got the Holy Grail. A Groudon that is a Hundo, Shadow, Shiny, and background. He got the Holy Grail. He just won the game. It's a bit of a shame that you cannot Mega Evolve or Primal Revert Shadows, but it's fine. Yo, this dude actually just won the game. He got the Holy Grail. A Shadow Shundo background. Well, I suppose if you want to cope and add another layer onto it, he could have gotten a double XL or a double XS, but, you know, that's not as important. Anyone else notice that, I don't want to throw out any accusations, but, like, anyone else notice that Fleece King just gets the best of the best? I don't want to say it's almost like he has favoritism, which I'm sure he doesn't, but, like, yo, this guy kind of has too many good things, you know? Anyways, how is everyone doing? How's everyone doing? By the way, I got my second paycheck from the new job. I got like over 700 bucks. So imagine when I work full-time. Ooh, the Monet is gonna come flooding in. And then probably more than half of it is gonna go into gas bills. Because I'm taking my mom's car to the new job, which is super far away, because they don't want me to take my car, and I'm not driving my dad's stinky car that he smokes in. I refuse. So I'm taking my mom's car, and my mom uses the premium gas, the most expensive gas option there is. Well, I've ran out of things to talk about. Did we get any movie trailers or announcements lately? I think we got another trailer for Spider Noir. Like I said, it's coming out both in black and white and in color. I'm watching both. I'm first gonna watch black and white, then I'm gonna watch color. I'm gonna watch both. You know, they say it's connected to the Spider-Verse. They say this is the exact same character from Spider-Verse, despite the films very clearly stating that that Spider-Noir is Peter Parker, and this one is Ben Reilly. Because some stupid rules with live-action Spider-Man, he cannot curse, he cannot be violent, he cannot drink, yada yada yada, you know, stuff that this version of Peter Parker does. So, some strict rules with Peter Parker in live action, they cannot have him be Peter Parker, so that instead, they have him as Ben Reilly. I really hope that it's the same character, which they'll have to figure out a reason to explain why, instead of Peter Parker, he now goes by Ben Reilly. Unless they don't explain it and they just ignore it. Wouldn't it be cool if, during the black and white sequence, like the black and white version of the show, you see a Rubik's Cube that's in color? Wouldn't that be cool? Wait until you guys see the Verizon hunt. Or rather, not see the Verizon hunt. Because unlike Terrakion, you cannot check every time if it's shiny or not. You kind of have to take a shot in the dark to see if Verizon is shiny or not. But we'll get to that when we get to that. That is shiny, right? That is a shiny. It is. Right up the butt. Sweet! Now let's go and catch that Scrafty. Or whatever it was. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I can't even tell. Is it you? You're shiny. You're not! Get out of my way! You're shiny too. Are you? No. Are you? No. Alright, any other shinies around the area? No, not here. Hey, look at that. We did get shiny Terrakion tonight. Sweet. I guess no Legends ZA grinding for... What? No Legends Arceus grinding for me. I have more grinding to do in this game until I find Verizon. Damn, now it's gonna be weird that I that I hunted the Swords of Justice, but not Latias and Latios, because I hunted those on my own time. Anything shiny around here? Isn't that kind of weird finding a Moo Moo Milk in here? You know, what if you were exploring hyperspace and then you find a Canadian bagged milk in here? I don't think there's anything else. May as well run around until the timer runs out. Come on, grab that, grab that, grab that! Yes! Let's take a look at our shiny Terrakion. We got a docile nature. I don't know if that's good or not. Okay, let me just move you. Alright! We may as well, since I already took the liberty of maxing out the survey points needed, let's see if we can get another special scan, and hey, who knows, maybe I'll get lucky enough and find Virizion afterwards. That is very unlikely, but you never know. Nope, it's another battle zone. Typical. Alright, we actually got shiny Terrakion. So, I will end it here. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time for Virizion.